And here we have the Marvel Legends Ares Build-A-Figure Wave, released by Hasbro in 2008 as a Walmart store exclusive. Each of the figure, 8 6-inch figures. Each of the figures came with a piece that built this figure. It's a wonderful, wonderful figure. Very well sculpted. It has great articulation. Has almost all the articulations of a regular Marvel Legends figure. Even has the ball hinge wrist. Does not have ankle swivel. Is just on a ball hinge joint. I would expect it to have sideward swivel, but it doesn't. It comes with this huge sword and a removable helmet. So very nice. The God of War, Ares, also comes with a removable dagger that fits on either hand. I think this thing is something that's really worth completing to build, especially if you're a fan of the Avengers and Thor. So we're going to put him there. Next, Crossbones, the deadly combat expert that rivals Captain America and Bullseye. He has no superpowers, just very well adept at fighting. Very well sculpted, just great detail, perhaps the best detailed figure in the entire wave. My only problem are the legs. They're a little bit spindly for me. I wish they would have been a little bit bulkier. And the articulation on the wrists, which are missing. He does not have the ball hinge wrist, which I was expecting, but instead has the forearm swivel or hinge or rotation joint. Not entirely, well, it's not perfect because it's very difficult to pose his hands, but it is there. And the weapons are a little bit small for him. I would expect it to be a little bit bigger. Pistol I think is okay, but the trigger area is a little bit small and could barely fit each of the fingers. They don't stay on too well, but if you put the trigger finger inside the trigger area, they'd stay on. But again, as I said, easily the best figure in the wave. Removable vest if you're interested to know, but I'm not going to do it. So there, that is Crossbones. Next, we're going to do Heroes Reborn Iron Man. This is based off the comic book illustrations by Jim Lee. Really a wonderful, wonderful figure. I was a big fan of how this figure was sketched, and a little bit disappointing with the action figure. The mold is very well done, very accurate to the comic book. Great articulation everywhere, even has the ball hinge wrist. No side-to-side motion for the ankle and no toe articulation, but the sculpt is so accurate to the comic book pages. My only problem is the paint apps. The paint apps are good, no quality issues, but the color chosen by Hasbro, it's bordering on magenta. It's sort of like a bright red, a little bit magenta-ish color, and a little bit of a mustard gold. Yeah, it's okay if you ask me, but I think they could have done better. They could have made it a little bit more marigold or yellow gold, and then made this one a little bit darker red, perhaps an Optimus Prime kind of red. But they didn't. They chose this glossy type of red, and it's a little bit off for me. But I do like the mold, so big chance this is going on my Iron Man shelf instead of my Marvel shelf. So we're gonna put him here. Okay, then we'll do Rhodey, the Ultimate War Machine figure, which is really just a repaint of the Ultimate Iron Man figure released in the Annihilus BAF wave. So it's really the same mold. Not entirely sure if it's a good representation of the Ultimate War Machine because it lacks a little bit more bulk, but it's well painted, well articulated, and if you notice the articulation on this figure, you can move the legs forward and backward, in and out at the same time without having to rotate it, because the peg on the joint is pegged laterally instead of diagonally. So interesting modification by Hasbro, but very well done. The helmet is not supposed to be removable. The Hasbro has super glued it. I just tried prying it open, and it reveals a brown colored molded Tony Stark head, which they've not painted. I wish they would have made it into Rhodey, but they didn't. They just super glued it there and just made it look like it was Rhodey because of the brown color. So bit of a disappointment there, but nevertheless, still a very, very awesome figure. So we're going to put him, well, if he can stand, we're going to put him here. Okay. Next, we're going to do Human Torch. Okay, let's put him here, so we have room. The Torch has always been appearing in several waves. I've just grown tired of the Human Torch and Fantastic Four figures, but this one is the variant figure, which I could not resist because it is so definitive of the Human Torch. Really made of a combination of opaque plastic, translucent clear plastic, and some paint. Very nice. Makes Johnny Storm really look like he's got his flame on going. And I think this is a lot better than the 3 3/4 figure, if you ask me, and I'm really, really liking this figure. Perhaps my favorite Human Torch figure of the lot. Same articulation, basic articulation that he has. He even has wrist articulation, torso articulation. No side-to-side or toe articulation for the feet. So we're going to put him there. Okay. Then we have the most boring figure in the lot, but not too bad. His name is the Guardian, part of the Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight. Boring because the paint apps are just so unsatisfactory for me. They're just so, I don't know, they're very boring, very dull. It feels like they've not really thought about this figure very well. The articulation on this one is very nice. They've got added in and out shoulder action. It's got toe articulation and even side to side ankle articulation. He's got articulation on the hands, but the paint is just mediocre for me, if you ask me. So we're going to put him here. Next, the most difficult figure to track down, if you ask me, in my opinion, is Vision, the android of the Avengers. Had a very colorful story. This is, I think, one of the most definitive Vision figures I've ever seen. More than the Toy Biz, and I suppose, if you ask me, more than the 3 3/4 Marvel Universe figure. If you're going to go for a good Vision, I think this is the 6-inch figure is the way to go. Particularly this Hasbro version. He's got great articulation, wrist articulation, no toes or side to side for the ankle, but everything's basic Marvel Legends articulation. Cape is even molded very well. Very, very accurate Vision figure. So I'm liking this a lot. And perhaps a lot of the fans as well, because it's very hard to track down. Okay, then we have Kang, the avaricious, time-traveling, futuristic villain of the Avengers. I mean, he's not my favorite character, but he is very well sculpted, equally difficult to find as just like the Vision. Very good head mold, head sculpt, some articulation on the forearms and on the wrist. He's even got a finger articulation on his left hand. Ankle articulation as well, extra articulation on the ankle, and everywhere just a regular Marvel Universe, Marvel Legends articulation. Very nice figure, but not one of my favorite characters. And lastly, we have easily the peg warmer of the wave, the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider, another clone of Peter Parker Spider-Man, and it's just wonderfully done, wonderfully painted. If there's any saving grace to this figure, it's really the paint apps. But the mold is so basic. They missed out on a lot of the articulation. There's no toe articulation. There's no side-to-side articulation. The wrist just swivels. It does not have a hinge joint on it. No in and out shoulder movement. I mean, for a Spider-Man figure, you'd expect a lot of articulation on this figure, but sadly, it has just the basic articulation. So there, but kudos to Hasbro for putting together a wonderful set of figures. I'm very pleased with this, very stoked to have finally completed it. If you're looking for this figure, I wish you the best. I mean, this is a highly recommended set to get if you want a very nice Marvel Legends wave to complete. This is the one you want to get. So there you go, the Marvel Legends Ares Build-A-Figure wave by Hasbro, which has been released in 2008 as a Walmart store exclusive. I hope this video has been helpful to some of you who have been interested in this particular wave of figures. Thanks for watching.